I'd like to welcome you all this morning to Fairfield Friends Meeting. I'm Larry Cordray. If you don't know who I am, most of you probably do, but I haven't had the privilege of being up here since before the pandemic. I don't know what Phil's problem was with that, but I haven't been here, but I'm back. And quick reminder, if you would put your phones on off or on airplane mode or something, it helps our Zoom people up there, and it looks like we have several this morning, get a better signal. So if you will all stand if you're able and join us in our first hymn in Sing Joyfully, number 45, Sing Praise to God Who Reigns Above. I'd like to share a centering thought with you this morning from Thomas Kelly. In worship, we have neighbors to right and left, before and behind, yet the eternal presence is over all and beneath all. Worship does not consist of achieving a mental state of concentrated isolation from one's fellows, but in the depth of common worship, it is as if we found our separate lives were all one life, within whom we live and move and have our being. It's time for our morning announcements, so if there's anybody on Zoom who has an announcement to share, please join us.
I have a family promise announcement. This is our 2-week until we have our family promise week. I've hung a schedule. It's on the wall between the meeting room and the cafeteria. And if anyone has any questions or would like to know anything more about the program, anybody who's new or wants to pitch in, the list is a list of things that we provide to the Resource Center for their kitchen, and that's used by people in the community that are still living in cars or people who are coming in for the program. And then we also provide a meal, an evening meal for those who are living in the shelter. The shelter is at capacity. All 6 rooms have families in it, and there is an overflow. There's families that are in the hotel that are just waiting for their opportunity to switch over to the more economical so they can start saving their money for their deposit. It's really neat to see them move in and then move on out. And so we have all new families, no need to worry about duplicating meals or anything like that. These families are all new. So thanks everyone for considering Family Promise as your volunteer opportunity.
Any announcements here in the meeting room?
Okay, sorry. Good morning. This is Laura Essex. We're going to be having an Easter egg hunt for the kids on Easter Sunday, 10 a.m. Right before meeting. So if you have any kids who would like to join, please come. I'd also like to ask for donations of small candies to go in our Easter eggs. You can just drop those in the children's church room. Yeah, I think. Oh, pre-wrapped candy, please. Because it's going to pass through many hands before it gets into the kids' mouths, so pre-wrapped. Any other questions, let me know, and I'll get an email out to the meeting as well.
Ann Tarvin. While we're on the subject of Easter, I've got a couple of date things you might want to know. Easter is a 5th Sunday, which is traditionally unprogrammed here. However, it's also Easter. So what we're doing is we will have an unprogrammed meeting at 9 a.m. That will be till 10. And then we'll have the programmed at 10:30 as we usually do. So that's the best way we could think to accommodate everybody. And another addition to our schedule, we have the Concert for Democracy coming up on a Friday, is that right? Friday?
April 12th.
April 12th. So on the 14th, which is a Sunday, we're all going to have a pitch-in, just a general pitch-in, no theme, not soup or sandwiches or whatever you want to bring. A free-for-all pitch-in. The Sunday after, we thought people might show up that had come to the concert that were interested in us, and it would be nice to be able to invite them to a pitch-in. Ministry and Council will set up and provide the tableware and so forth. So all you got to do is bring food and an appetite.
Yep, I'll go ahead. Anita Kamek. I have a few announcements actually. Next Sunday, right? Next Sunday, it's already. It will be our meeting for business at the Rise of Worship. So around noonish, I believe. Also, I did want to remind, I think I mentioned this last Sunday, but in case you all weren't here, we have scheduled an outside cleanup day on April 6th, that's Saturday, April 6th, and that'll be from 8:30 to noon 30. We probably won't need that long. We're in pretty good shape, but we still do need to work on a few things. And then the other thing, this is breaking news. Mark your calendars for April 27th, that's a Saturday. We're going to be having the spring hike on April 27th. We're going to go to DePaul Nature Center, and the Peace and Social Justice Committee will provide a light lunch. sandwiches and chips likely. I think if anybody feels so moved and you want to bring a side, that would be great also, but unnecessary. So hopefully, we'll pray for good weather and everybody will have a good time.
This is Joanne Gulley, and I see a theme here of food, which is not unusual. Just a reminder, we are doing our last session of the book club today. So we're going to do our last 3 chapters. We're doing our little docking party with a pitch-in, and be on the lookout. I think we're going to do another book club starting sometime soon. We have to make a decision on what we want to talk about, but we've had a really good time with this, so good time had by all.
Hi, this is Stacy Denny. Most of you have received an email that went out this week. We decided that we're going to have a little gathering to celebrate the eclipse. So if you all would like to come join us out here at the Meeting House at 1:30 on Monday, April 8th. We're going to have some music, which is eclipse themed. And we ask that everybody brings maybe a dessert to share or some sort of favorite snack or something, anything you want to bring. You could bring your box lunch too. So we just thought it would be a nice way to informally gather, but to be together with friends for this amazing event.
Stacy,
yes.
I heard right there's dancing, right?
Oh, yes. Mark Striedelmeyer will be doing some celestial dancing for us. His name is who?
I thought his name was Tevye.
Tevye, yes, Tevye will be dancing for us. So we're all looking forward to that. So hopefully Mark will be there.
Don't forget the contest to see who can stare at the eclipse for long.
Sandra Hayes Hartman. Speaking of the solar eclipse, I have a friend who designed beautiful t-shirts, and I ordered too many. So I have 2 to give away if anyone would like them. They're gorgeous. Total solar eclipse.
If all hearts are clear, Mark Striedelmeyer is going to offer our prayer for community and beyond. And feel free to dance up, Mark.
Let us pray. Your world cries out to you. Because we have a world of hurt. In every place, in every corner of our world, there is hurt. And we cry out to you for help. For those who starve, for those who are cold and miserable, for those who face death and mourning. There's a world of joy, and we would join in with all who are thankful and grateful and all who see the wonder of this life, the wonder in each other, the wonder of your presence. There's a world of people just like us and not like us at all. We ask you to help us to see in them your light, your presence, and that we may love them as we ourselves would hope to be loved. There's a world inside each one of us, a world of confusion, a world of care, a world of pride and joy. And we ask you to be with us, to open us up to all the good that you would give. And from this world we cry, and we laugh, and we count on you. Amen.
And now is our time of giving back, of helping feed the people in our community. Michael, does Michael have any assistance today? Anyone who can give him a hand? All right, thank you. Hold on, Michael. This is very complex. Okay, right here, buddy. There, you're gonna take it over there? Oh, okay. You got it? All right. Well, I wish I'd been at Jack's race. I like that slow motion effect you gave it as it crossed the... I got the video clip of it yesterday, and it was pretty neat. It reminded me of when our boys were little, when we did that. Several years ago, Joanne and I think this was maybe the mid-2000, or around 2015 or so, Joanne and I were in Frostburg, Maryland, at the University of Maryland there, the Frostburg campus, attending the sessions of Baltimore Yearly Meeting. For those of you not accustomed to Quaker jargon, a yearly meeting is a collection of local or monthly meetings, which is what this congregation is, usually located in the same geographical area, who gather once a year, hence the term yearly meeting, to discuss and decide their shared ministries and concerns. Just so you know, the definition of a Quaker is someone who won't attend their own yearly meeting, but will drive 450 miles to attend someone else's. And so that's what we did that summer. We went out there to Baltimore Yearly Meeting, and we had a wonderful time. And there was a free afternoon, and after looking at an atlas, I discovered we were only 50 miles from Falling Water, what some believe to be the most beautiful home in America. It was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. So off we went to Falling Water. The house was designed in 1935 by Frank Lloyd Wright for Edgar and Lillian Kaufman, who were the owners of the Kaufman department store in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They had owned property along the Bear Run River for several decades and would spend their summers camping beside a waterfall on Bear Run River, and eventually decided to hire Frank Lloyd Wright to build a home for them. When they first saw the blueprints that Wright had drawn, they were upset. They had asked him to place the home downstream of the waterfalls so they could view the water, but the blueprints had the home placed in the midst of the waterfall, integrated among the water, the boulders, and the century-old trees. When the Kaufmans expressed their disappointment with his design, Wright told them, "I want you to live with the waterfall, not just to look at it, but for it to become an integral part of your lives." And of course, if you've been there, if you've been to Falling Water or even seen a picture of it, you know its beauty is based on its integration. The house and nature are woven seamlessly together, each one complementing the other in a beautiful synthesis of design. Wright later said, when interviewed about the house, that no house should ever be on a hill or on anything. It should be of the hill, belonging to it. We've been talking about Quaker qualities, kind of reframing our Quaker testimonies. We've discussed equality as democratic discernment, peace as consistent compassion, simplicity as generosity, and today I want to speak about integrity as integration, by which I mean all the elements of our lives fitting seamlessly together until they become an example of unified beauty. The Quaker testimony of integrity is not just about telling the truth. Our testimony of integrity is about living a life of integration so that there is no daylight between what we say and believe and do. They are all of the same piece. They are integrated. Think for a moment of our disappointment when someone regularly proclaims their devotion to Jesus one moment, and then the next moment treats their fellow humans terribly. The disconnect we experience in that moment is because we see in their lives a lack of integration. There is a chasm between what they say and how they act, and we recognize this disconnection and we find it troubling, even jarring. Isn't this what appalls us today about the prevalence of Christian nationalism? Christianity is a global movement, a universal philosophy, transcending borders and boundaries, embracing the world. But in Christian nationalism, it becomes a regional religion, a national religion confined to and controlled by a political party or ruling class. We are rightly troubled by that, seeing a disconnect between the principles of Jesus and the conduct of his followers. We recognize this lack of integration, which is, at its heart, is a lack of integrity. And if we are mindful, and if we are self-aware, we recognize in our own lives, don't we, these moments and places of disconnection. Paul spoke about this in his letter to the Romans when he wrote, I don't understand my own actions. I do not do what I want. I do the very thing I hate. We all know that feeling inwardly. We all have experienced that. This disconnection, this lack of integration, and are troubled by it, especially when we notice it in ourselves. Oh, boy, I had an experience about that just recently. For years now, Joanne and I have had an extra car, a third car, which we kept because when we got a new car, we thought, well, we'll just keep the third one in case any friends or family ever need to borrow it. So that's what we do with it. It has nearly 200,000 miles on it, and I fear is close to giving up the ghost. So when I saw an advertisement last week for a 2007 Lincoln Town Car at Andy Moore Nissan with only 80,000 miles on it, I thought, that is the car for me. So I went and I drove it. Beautiful car, one owner, non-smoker, but when I sat in it, I immediately felt 110 years old. And so I decided not to buy it. Unfortunately, I'd already gotten to know the used car salesman, a nice young man named Tony. I'd spoken on the phone several times with him. He told me about his parents and his fiance and how he was saving money for college so he could become a doctor and help poor people. I mean, this was just a wonderful, great kid. So when I decided not to buy the car, I just couldn't bring myself to say anything to him. And so I waited until he went to the bathroom and then got out of there as quickly as I could. I fled the place rather than telling Tony I was no longer interested in the car. I didn't want to hurt his feelings and ruin his plans for his life. Well, you've heard it said, and sometimes people my age often talk about how younger people don't know how to work these days and all of this, but that is not true of Tony because he has called me every day. And he did for the next 3 days, every day calling me, asking me. So nice. Hello, Mr. Gulley, this is Tony. How are you today? How is Mrs. Gulley? Tony, call me Phil. And Joanne, just Joanne, and we're fine, thank you. Well, I'd rather call you Mr. Gulley if that's okay. I was just calling to let you know the car is still available and I'd be happy to deliver it to your home if it's too hard for you and Mrs. Gulley to get out. Tony was so nice. This kid was so nice that the third time he called, I invited he and his fiance to our house for Easter dinner. That's how nice this kid was. I was telling Joanne about it. She said, you have to tell him that we don't want that car. I said, he wants to be a doctor, Joanne, and help poor people. That is not our responsibility, she said. You know, I love my wife, but sometimes she can be ruthless. But I knew she was right. I knew she was right that I had to tell Tony the truth. He phoned the next day. We chatted a little bit. And then he asked me if I was still interested in the car. He'd been saving it for me. Other people had wanted it. He had told them no. I said, Tony, there's something you need to be aware of. I was going to buy that car for an older person. Because technically speaking, I was older than I had been the day I drove it. And they've told me they no longer want it, which is true, I no longer wanted it. I said they've even been told they should stop driving, which is also true. Joanne has been telling me that now for several years, that I should stop driving. So here I am. Talk about this disconnect. here I am, a minister of the gospel of Jesus. A responsibility, I know it doesn't always seem that way, but it's a responsibility I try to take seriously, and I shaded the truth rather than speak it. I did this to spare Tony. Did I ask for your comments? Don't get him started too. Oh, Lord. Then I read this quote this week. You know, here I am wanting to be nice to Tony, and I read this quote, that it is better to be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. Better to be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. We live with this need always in our lives, friends, to weave our lives into a seamless garment when what we say and believe and do are one and the same no matter what, to integrate our lives so that what we love is what we do. So what we believe, so that what we believe becomes our first impulse and not our eventual impulse. Not just living near the truth, within viewing distance of it, but living in it and being of it.
Mark, thank you for your prayer. Bill, thank you for your message. And for all you out there on Zoom, thank you for being a loving, caring community of friends. If you'll please stand if you're able and join me in hymn number 185 in worship and song.
I was thinking last night about marriage. We had guests over for dinner, and it occurred to me as we were sitting around the table and laughing and talking that we had been married longer than all of them had been alive. And it was just a wonderful time to be with those young people and to listen, and it made me think about when we were that age and first married and how careful we were with one another on tender hooks, not wanting to ruin what we believed would be a wonderful relationship, causing Joanne for the first several years of our marriage to not make any comments when I would wear plaid pants with a striped shirt. Until one day she said to me, "Honey, I love you more than life itself, but I'm going to be picking out your clothes and dressing you from now on." What her concern was what we've been talking about this morning: integration, coordination of making sure we match in our lives, not just outwardly, but more importantly, inwardly. That what we say we love is the way we act, that there is a synthesis of unity. And so, friends, don't wear plaids and stripes this week. Integrate. Now, everybody's looking at themselves just to make sure. Integrate, coordinate, make sure your inside matches with who you are on the outside. That's it. The end of my lecture. Turn and greet your friend.